When I started trading, I thought that chasing these big wins was the holy grail. I thought these big wins were the way to increase my equity curve and become a successful trader. But what I noticed was that every time I had a big win, my losses had a way to wipe it all out. So I could be making progress for weeks, perhaps with the bad behaviors, and there was that day where I would have a big loser and all of the profits made on the previous days would just go all thrown out of the window. And looking back, I realized I had a skill that was underdeveloped, and that was capital preservation. And that took me to develop a new relationship with losses. I needed to learn how to become a great loser. So that became a project of mine. And with the insights I gained, with my experience, with the experience of the traders I work with and help also becoming great losers, I decided to make this video to explain you a little bit about the neuroscience and psychology behind losing and how you can become a better loser in your trading. There are studies made with gamblers and on the casino that show that dopamine is released not only when we reach a reward, when these casino gamblers would win, but actually way before the reward is reached, with the anticipation of it. In this case, dopamine doesn't indicate pleasure of having won. It actually indicates how close the gambler got from the reward and encourages another attempt, and another one, until they wipe all their gains. In this same spirit, there are certain market scenarios that are more likely to set you off, and those are the scenarios where your expectations are at its highest. So we're talking about making a trade out of fear of missing out, a sudden reversal that you were not expecting, a false breakout, a near miss. And here, the dopamine released in the anticipation of this reward or this win will be your worst enemy. Why? Well, your brain expects a certain reward, floods your bloodstream with dopamine, and then that reward doesn't come true. So this dopamine that was released in your bloodstream doesn't just disappear. It creates a strong drive to continue trading to recover that lost high. And here we're talking about revenge trading. So it's not only the psychology that it's against you. Chemically speaking, these are the moments that are more capable of setting you off, where the mental odds are against you. Now, the real question is, psychologically, you can control yourself. Now, can you control your neurotransmitters in your brain? Can you control the chemistry of your brain to undo this dopamine reward system? Well, the answer is yes and no. You cannot control releasing serotonin after a win, so the feeling of satisfaction, or dopamine in the expectation of a reward, or even adrenaline when the market conditions are more volatile. What you can do, though, is regulate your expectations that are the base for the release of these neurotransmitters, of these hormones. A study found that our perception of reward probability actually influences how dopamine gets released in our brain. So when we believe a reward is more likely to happen, when there's expectation behind it, dopamine will be released in much more quantity than when we keep things more neutral and we expect a certain outcome, but being aware of the uncertainty and recognizing that uncertainty in the equation. So in essence, these expectations are the basis for the dopamine release in the body. The solution, however, is not to eliminate them. This would be anti-natural, anti-human. We have expectations, and this has been helping us survive and predict what's going to happen next, right? We can, though, spread them across multiple scenarios. And I bet that this is something you do before your session starts. You prepare for the if scenarios, for the different market conditions. You set reactions for those. And this helps you start your session on a better note. Now, when the market starts moving, it becomes more difficult to do this. There's always a certain scenario that starts to weigh more on our brain. And we can't help but to predict. And this is normal. So our brain was made to function on certainty. And whenever the uncertainty starts to increase, our brain has its way to protect us by overcompensating with the expectations, with the certainty, by overthinking, trying to find a solution to fix the uncertainty. Except that in the market, we don't control the external outcomes, at least in a short term, in the market environment. So this is when your brain will start to work against you, chemically releasing these hormones, psychologically and cognitively. So perception distortion. So what can you do to counter these? Well, you can force yourself to remind that anything can happen at any point in time of the trading session. The unrealized profits are not yours, even when a market scenario seems very imminent. Just reminding yourself that the opposite can occur, your scenario might not materialize, helps you balance out your hormones in your body and your psychology. So, and if you cannot handle this pressure of expectations, just take something out of the trade in case you are in a trade and ride the rest of the position with this anything can happen mindset. Uncertainty doesn't come natural to us. So if you want to train your brain to think in probabilities, you need to constantly remind it that you are in an uncertain environment, anything can happen, but whatever it happens, you are armed with the tools to handle such scenario. This is the way to tilt your mental odds in your favor. So make efforts to start your trading sessions balanced in terms of expectations by predicting all of the if scenarios and preparing for those, but also make an effort to maintain this anything can happen mindset throughout the trading session. After all, you have more control over your brain's chemistry than you thought. Peaceful trading, Sarah. If you are interested in becoming the best trader version of yourself, of learning the processes, routines, and skills of exceptional traders, then join my weekly trading psychology newsletter, The High Performing Trader. I drop 2 posts per week. You can find all the past posts there and become a better emotional manager.